Hello, my name is Cynthia Mantilla, and this training is on OSHA safety standards for the work environment. Every year, over 4,000 workers die on the job due to work-related injuries. To help protect employee health and safety on the job, Occupational Safety and Health Administration standards were developed and implemented in organizations throughout the nation. Employers have the responsibility of ensuring OSHA standards are followed and that employees have a safe working environment free of any hazards. This course will provide employees an overview of Occupational Safety and Health Administration safety standards in the workplace. At the end of this course, employees will have a greater understanding of OSHA standards and the importance of their implementation in the workplace. Employees will also become familiar with the responsibilities of their employer to comply with OSHA standards, who is covered by OSHA, and their rights as an employee in the workplace and during OSHA inspections. Lastly, employees will learn what they should do if a dangerous situation occurred at work, what to do if they are injured on the job, and how to contact OSHA for assistance or to file a confidential complaint. At the end of this course, employees will be able to describe OSHA safety standards, recognize the process of reporting an emergency, identify employee rights under OSHA, and recognize the OSHA responsibilities of the employer. OSHA stands for Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It is a small federal agency responsible for ensuring a safe and healthy work environment for employees in all 50 states. To do so, OSHA developed health and safety standards. Organizations are responsible for following. In addition to help organizations and employees properly comply with OSHA standards, OSHA offers trainings, outreach, education, and other assistance as needed. OSHA has approximately 2,100 inspectors that are responsible for the health and safety of over 130 million workers at over 8 million work sites. Therefore, there is one inspector, also known as compliance officer, for every 59,000 workers. So there's definitely not many compliance officers to the amount of organizations that they service. Now that we have a better understanding of what OSHA is, let's talk some about the history that went behind creating OSHA to be what it is today. In December of 1970, the Occupational Safety and Health Act was signed by President Richard M. Nixon in response to dangerous working conditions that were seen around the nation. This law led to the establishment of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, and the Independent Occupational Safety and Health Review Commission. In April of 1971, OSHA was officially established. The purpose of OSHA is to ensure workers have safe and healthy working conditions by setting and enforcing standards, providing training, outreach, education, and assistance. In May of 1971 through May of 1972, the first OSHA standards were adopted. OSHA adopted existing national agreements and established federal standards to provide a baseline for safety and health protection in American workplaces. OSHA approved South Carolina and Oregon to adopt and enforce the agency standards in their states. They became the first state plans within OSHA. In addition to private sector, OSHA state plans extend OSHA coverage to state and local government workers who otherwise were not protected by the OSHA Act. Currently, 27 states and territories operate OSHA-approved state plans. February of 1980, OSHA provided coverage to federal workers. President Carter issued an executive order providing OSHA coverage for millions of federal workers, which had not previously been covered by OSHA. When we look at the statistics for OSHA, we see some alarming numbers that tell us the importance of the implementation of the OSHA standards in the workplace. In 2015, there were 4,379 worker fatalities caused by work-related injuries or incidents. That means that there were 93 deaths a week, or more than 13 deaths a day. Out of those 4,379 fatalities, 21.4% of them were in the construction industry, meaning it accounted for more than 1 in every 5 worker deaths. The leading cause of construction worker deaths have been classified as the fatal 4, and they are falls, struck by an object, electrocution, caught in or between. Falls account for 364 out of 937 deaths that occurred in construction in 2015. That's 38.8% of worker deaths. Getting struck by an object accounted for 90 out of 937 deaths. That's 9.6% of worker deaths. Electrocution accounted for 81 out of 937 deaths. That's 8.6% of worker deaths that were caused by electrocution. Caught in or between, which includes getting caught in equipment or objects, getting stuck, caught, crushed, or stuck in a collapsing structure, equipment, or material, accounted for 67 out of 937 deaths. That's 7.2% of worker fatalities. If the fatal 4 causes of worker fatalities would be eliminated, 602 worker lives would be saved in America every year. That's an alarming amount. Although there are many deaths that occur each year as a result of work-related incidents, OSHA has had a dramatic impact on workplace safety, reducing the amount of work-related deaths, injuries, and illnesses dramatically. Work-related deaths went from 38 a day in 1970 to 13 a day in 2015. And work-related injuries and illnesses went from 10.9 incidents per 100 workers in 1970 to 3 per 100 workers in 2015. To help make these changes in organizations, OSHA developed standards. Standards are the rules that employers are legally required to follow in order to protect employees from hazards or unnecessary harm. These standards apply to full-time, part-time, and temporary employees. Creating a standard is not as easy as it sounds and can be a lengthy process. Before a standard is adopted, it needs to go through a process that includes public engagement, proving that significant risk is present for employees, and that it is feasible to make a change in order to protect the workers. In addition to OSHA standards, OSHA has established the General Duty Clause of the OSHA Act. The General Duty Clause of the OSHA Act requires employers to keep their workplace free of serious recognized hazards, although no specific OSHA standard may apply to that hazard. An example of a few OSHA standards are construction safety standards, which protect construction workers when operating electric power transmissions, distribution equipment, aerial lifts, and helicopters. Diving standards, which protect workers in commercial diving. The OSHA lead standard, which protects workers in the construction industry to decrease worker lead exposure. Lead is a toxin that causes damage to the kidneys, nervous system, and reproductive system. Therefore, it can be very life-threatening. To ensure that workplaces are implementing OSHA standards and creating an environment safe for all workers, OSHA sends out highly trained compliance officers to conduct OSHA inspections. OSHA inspections are conducted without notice, and therefore organizations nor employees know when inspections will take place. Inspections can be conducted either on-site or over the phone, and are done to target the following priorities: any imminent danger, catastrophes such as fatalities or hospitalizations, worker complaints and referrals, targeted inspections such as particular hazards or high injury rates, and to follow up with findings of previous inspections. On-site inspections can also be triggered by a complaint by a worker or representative that feels there is a serious hazard present in the workplace, or that the employer is not following OSHA standards. The quickest way of correcting a hazard is by notifying a supervisor or employer, and should be the first step any employee takes upon the detection of a hazard. When OSHA violations are found by compliance officers, citations or fines may be issued. The citations will tell the employer ways the hazards can be corrected and by when the corrections must be made. Then the compliance officer notifies the employer that there will be a follow-up visit to ensure the corrections are made. Employers can challenge a citation. OSHA's Review Commission reviews appeals and determines if the citation stands. Workers also have the right to challenge the deadline for when problems need to be resolved. The employee's challenge of the deadline will also be reviewed by OSHA's Review Commission for a determination whether the deadline stands or if another deadline will be issued. During OSHA inspections, workers have the right to talk in private with OSHA inspectors before and after the inspection. Worker representatives may accompany the inspector throughout the inspection. When there is no union or employee representative, the OSHA inspector will speak with several workers during the inspection. A worker can refuse to be interviewed by the inspector. However, if the interview is required, OSHA can request a subpoena in order to interview the employee.